What's up? This your boy Big Man. You already know what it is, man. So let's get right to it. Okay, so today we are going to be talking about the Chicago drill rapper Kentray Savage. Now, Kentray Savage's story was one of the very first viral moments we had last year in 2020 where the news story about a rapper getting killed. You know what I mean? Now, as a Chicago drill artist, this happens a lot, man, and it's a sad situation anytime it takes place, but Kentray Savage's story went national, man. Everybody was talking about it, a lot of news and media sources, and this happened during the summer of 2020 last year, right? Now, a lot of people have had eyes on this situation and wondered, would anybody ever be caught? Well, it looks like there's a suspect in this case that was caught out of state and arrested and is being extradited back to Chicago to face trial for Kentray Savage's murder. Now, this is a very interesting story, and the details that brought this investigation together are just as interesting. Now, before we get to the details and talk about the specifics, do me a favor. Make sure you hit that like button, make sure you hit that subscribe button, and man, make sure you run up them likes. We're trying to get 1,000 likes on this video, so let's get it. Okay, now that we got that out of the way, let's talk about this Kentray Savage situation. Now, rest in peace to Kentray Savage to start this video off. There's been a lot of media and news sources reporting on this, specifically in the Dallas area, and of course, the Chicago newsman has also talked about this situation, and the details of the shooting involving Kentray Savage have come to light, man. Now, you know, these things are already well known in the streets beforehand, but today, man, you had the local ABC News in Chicago come out with further details about the shooting and about the suspect in the Kentray Savage case who was arrested in Texas. All right, so the story starts off and it says, man charged with killing Chicago rapper Kentray Savage after identified in video of shooting. So that gives you a clue right there what we're about to get into. Now let's talk about the story. All right, a man has been identified with last year's killing of Kentray Savage, a rapper signed to Chief Keef's record label after he was extradited to Chicago from Texas. Now, let me clear that up. Kentray Savage was actually signed to Chief Keef's Glow Gang Records. He was with Glow Gang for a while. I don't know where the split came from, where he went out and did his own thing, but there obviously was some type of split, and Kentray Savage was still doing his thing. He actually had a mixtape that had dropped around the time of the shooting, so it was a crazy situation to say the least, right? Now, investigators identified Demitri Jackson as the gunman from surveillance video that shows him walking with a distinctive limp before and after killing Savage, whose real name is Kentray Young, Cook County prosecutors said in a court document. Now, prosecutors didn't offer a motive in the 19th of June shooting, saying only two were affiliated with the same gang faction and spoke briefly 15 minutes before the shooting in the 8100 block of South Evans Avenue. Now, if you wanted more information about the original news report and original story, I did a video on this shooting, and you know, it talked in detail about about what they had so far. Now, Demitri Jackson, according to this report, was actually familiar with Kentray Savage, somebody who was a close associate or maybe even, you know, affiliated with the same gang faction. That's what they're saying here in the report. I don't know what any of that is or who he was affiliated with. We ain't gonna get into none of that. But to be honest, that goes to show, man, a lot of rappers, it be somebody in their own crew, somebody close to them. Now, I don't know what they were into it for, and I don't know if this dude really did this, because at this point, it's still alleged. Altogether, though, it's really sad because it always seems to be somebody in the crew is jealous of somebody else, somebody in the crew is plotting on somebody else, and somebody just, it's those green eyes of envy sometimes. Now, maybe it was something that Kentray Savage and him had going on for a long time, and just because they were down with the same people doesn't mean that, you know, they were on the same page. Now, the story continues to say this. It says Jackson, who's only 20 years old, returned in a car, got out, and interacted again with Young, who's 26 at the time, as he sat in another car with his girlfriend, prosecutors say. Jackson went back to his car and moved into the middle of the street, blocking Young's car. He then stepped out and started shooting. So basically, they're saying that Demitri Jackson jumped in his car after talking to Kentray Savage and said, you know what, jumped in his car, pulled up the block, blocked off the road, and jumped out his car and started shooting, man, while Savage was in his car. Now, they're also saying, they said that, hold up, Young struck, okay. So they're saying he then stepped out and started shooting, and Young was struck in the neck and shoulder. Now, in the original story, we talked about the fact that he was struck in the neck and shoulder, right? And then he was driving, so he crashed into a parked car. Prosecutors say he died at the University of Chicago Medical Center. Jackson sped off down an alley in a white Mazda, which police found the next day burning in an alley near 84th Place in Ellis. Now, police had several previous run-ins with Jackson, including a shooting in 2018 that wounded Jackson in the ankle, leaving him with a distinctive limp. So him having that limp from that previous shooting, they're saying they picked that out in the video when he was walking up to Tray Savage and they had their initial conversation. I wonder what they got into it about. I mean, if this is all pans out and is for real. Now, they're also saying they got video. Now, in the story, it continues. It says, video from a convenience store before the shooting shows Jackson's face uncovered while he enters the white Mazda, prosecutor said. Other surveillance video shows the killing, as well as Jackson driving to 84th and Ellis and walking with a limp and distinctive clothing, prosecutor said. Members of the Chicago Police Department who knew Jackson identified him from surveillance photos, which also showed a unique skin imperfection on Jackson's shoulder, prosecutor said. So he must have had like a tank top on or something, because how else are they going to see that? Now, Jackson was arrested on April 23rd, so that was just last week, in Fort Worth, Texas, prosecutor said. He was held Sunday without bail on a count of first-degree murder. So it's looking bad for Jackson, man, for Demitri Jackson. He's got a fight on his hands. Young was an associate of rapper Chief Keef and part of Chief's Glow Gang collection of recording artists. He was known for his 2013 collaboration with Chief Keef, Chief and Keef. So they're just giving him a shout out there in the story about his previous work with Chief Keef as an artist. But it looks like Demitri Jackson also, according to another story, let me go to this story from Dallas News. Now, the story from the Dallas News says this. It says that Jackson, I guess he got an attorney, and what he tried to do was get bond. Now, they caught him in Texas, so as soon as he bailed on the car, it looks like he actually, according to this report, went to Texas, you know what I'm saying, to lay low or whatnot. But, it was a national case. So they said, forget it, they caught him. Now, while he was in jail in Texas, he wanted to get bond before he got extradited back to Cook County Jail, and it was denied. And they ran a whole story about that. And it said this: Jackson's private attorney, Thomas Haylock, had argued against denying his client bail, explaining Jackson was cooperative with authorities and left Chicago only after his grandmother's death from cancer last fall, the Chicago Tribune reported. So they're saying that he was telling the judge and everybody that the reason for him leaving Chicago had nothing to do with the shooting. The only reason he left was the fact that, he had somebody who passed away in his family. It looks like his grandma. But Judge David R. Navarro granted the prosecution's no bail request, adding that Jackson faced natural life in prison if convicted of killing the 26-year-old rapper who was signed to Glowboy Entertainment, and we already know all that, and drill rapper. Okay, so they're basically saying that they denied his bail and they want him to go back to Cook County to fight his case, and it looks like that's where it is so far. But what do you guys think about this, man? What a weird change of events, because like I said, man, when it comes to Chicago drill artists, these things almost never get solved. Like it's a crapshoot. But it seems like they've got Demitri Jackson in custody. He's about to be extradited back to Chicago, and that's where he's going to face trial. So other than that, I don't know what to say, man. I mean, as far as the clues that they have, it looks like they have video surveillance and everything. So what do you guys think? Do you think that this is it and this is probably the person? They wouldn't go through all this extra stuff if they didn't have the right person as far as extraditing them and everything? Or do you think there's a chance it's a mistaken identity or something of that nature? Now, with that, this has been your boy Big Man. Please do me a favor. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. And make sure you hit that notification bell so that way you get a notification every time I drop this hot content. And we out of here. Peace. And oh yeah, if you made it to this point in the video, make sure you hit that like button. Let's run them likes up. Peace.